Provision 2020 webinar series. Provision is an online portal webinar series hosted by Fadamullah Homeopathic Medical College, Mangalore. It is a platform provided for homeopathic practitioners and students all over India to enhance their knowledge by listening to the stalwarts of homeopathy. It's my privilege to welcome our administrator, Reverend Father Roshan Krasta, Principal Dr. Shivprasad K, Vice Principal Dr. E.S.J. Prabhugiran for this session today. I also welcome the speaker for today's session, and who is my classmate, Dr. Namita Gobinath, who is here to speak on the topic, Understanding the Mind-Body Interaction in the Homeopathy Case Taking. I welcome the moderator for today's session, Dr. Rachel Narona, Assistant Professor, Department of Pediatrics. I request the moderator to take over the session. Over to you, Dr. Rachel.
So good evening, everyone. It's my privilege to introduce the speaker of today, who is not only an alumnus of our college, but also my batchmate. So Dr. Namita completed her BHMS in the year 2010, and since then she has been practicing in Ernakulam. Her clinic she established along with her mother, Dr. Pramila Devi, who's also present with us here today, in the year 2010, and henceforth from then she's been gaining a lot of clinical experience over the years. She's also a consultant at the Homeo Home and Mangat Homeo Clinic at Ernakulam. She was appointed as a medical officer at the Government Homeopathic Dispensary, Nellad, Kerala from 2015 till 2018. An ardent follower of homeopathy, she keeps herself updated by attending regular seminars and workshops of different schools of homeopathy. She is currently pursuing her degree in psychology and counseling. So today she is enlightening us about the mind-body interaction in homeopathic case taking, which you all know is an essential part of our case taking and our management of the case. So over to you, Dr. Namita, and all the best.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. Can you all see me?
Yes, and you're audible also.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you so much for the intro, and thank you all. Thank you, especially the management of Father Mullahs, for giving me an opportunity to speak here, share my views, share my practical knowledge in homeopathy. Thank you so much. So maybe without wasting much time, I will just go on to the session. I'll just share the screen. Is this visible?
Yes, it is visible.
Yes.
Okay, you can see me as well, right? You can hear me as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so my topic for today is understanding the mind-body interaction in homeopathic practice. So people from Father Mullahs actually will not find it very difficult because we have been trained by the ICR method, and we have actually spent 5 years, 5.5 years filling the SCR, especially the page which I can never forget is the page where we have that events chart chronology line and everything. So which one part is mind, one part is body. But when I was a student, I really did not understand the importance of that page, or rather the importance of the mind-body interaction as I understand today. Okay, so I thought I should share with you all how exactly this can be correlated and how important it is for us to consider mind in order to cure the body out of the sickness. Okay, so as we'll begin. Okay, this is a small saying that I have actually come across. We all perceive things as we are. Okay, every situation, every incident, everything you are being spoken to, we all perceive it in different ways. But we perceive it only as we are. Okay, each person might perceive it, understand it, take it in a different sense. So that is how each individual is different. Now, what is this as we are? So how man and thoughts can be connected. So right from the conception, okay, the time, the life in the womb, during the pregnancy, what all things, the conception, the factors, the genes that are present from the mother, from the father, that makes up the what do you call the ovum, or the ovum and the sperm together forms a zygote, and that makes up the basic of a person. And again, during the 9 months in the womb, what all the mother undergoes, more than what she undergoes, how she takes it, what she actually feels through and through during those 9 months will affect the baby. Okay, and then once you're born, okay, with so much, you're born with a set of traits. You are born with so and so characters. You're already born and you have these many things in you. Now, the experiences in early life and parenting definitely mold the character. So we must have seen certain children, they have a tendency to take all the bad things that actually happen around them because they have it in them. Some people might not even really take it up because they don't have it in them. Some people might take all the good qualities that you actually see in other people and they take it. They try imitating because they have it in them. Some people might not take it because they don't have it in them. There also, each person differs. Now, man is, as you progress, okay, after the early childhood is over, as you progress, he is constantly in a change with pressure, not exactly pressure, with a lot of inputs from family, work, society, and environment. Okay, this is exactly the organ in classes that we have been listening from Dr. Shiv Prasad in you know, almost all the years. But again, I'm telling you, these are the things which, you know, later I found very interesting, and I totally appreciate what has been taught in Father Muller's. Okay, and all these factors definitely affect us. But then each of the person, all the inputs will be different. Even if they are same, two persons might not react the same way to it. Some people might adapt. Okay, how he adapts, how a person adapts, how he reacts are all determined by his genes and the myosin that he's through. The disease he presents today are the end results of events that have happened since conception. So this is the basic. And okay, see, we need to consider this in practice, but then I would definitely say there are a lot of homeopaths. There are many ways in homeopathy how you can practice. A lot of them practice according to the keynotes as the symptoms are presented. They have wonderful results. So there is nothing right and wrong, but this is just my thought. And not my thought, this is just my way. Okay, so this is what I follow and I would like you all to know. So that's it. Yeah, so now we'll see what we'll be seeing in this session. So we will go through cases. I am not going to take how the mind-body correlation and all that as theory part. I'm not going to take. We'll see it through cases. Okay, how to approach the mind-body correlation, related rubrics and repertories, ruling out remedies after we repertorize, some ways and questions that might help us to determine the will, disposition, nature of the patient in front of us. And there are many other ways to get to know the patient in front of us. You know, there are a lot of methods like GNM, which is called Germanic New Medicine, physiognomy and phrenology, which is like you see the external appearance and features of a person. You see the skull, anatomy of the skull, how prominent each lobes are of a person. That is phrenology. Physiognomy is where you actually see the external morphology of the person and say, okay, he can be a very angry person, he can be a very, very depressed person. There is a lot of ambition in him. There's a lot of intelligence in this person. He is very mild, he is obstinate. All these can be made out by the look, okay, of a person. Then there is some other method which is developed recently. It's called target protocol. I will just brief you about all this. And knowing the core delusion that runs through and through in a patient. And there is some other method called as Mirrlees theme, finding out a theme that is more suitable for finding out a thematic, you find the theme of the patient and you have to correlate it. You have to be a little thorough with the thematic materia medicas to actually go through the Mirrlees theme. I'll just brief you about all this. Okay. First, cases as they come to us, we have patients coming to us with various ailments and diagnosed diseases. Now, How did these diseases start? Many a times they might remember and tell us something which is physical as a cause. Okay, you have a knee joint pain, a patient coming with a knee joint pain, you might ask them what exactly causes knee joint pain. They might say, I had to climb the stairs, the lift was not working, or I went to a new place, I had to climb a lot of stairs, and that is why this happened. But if you actually say they must have climbed these stairs before, but then at that particular time when they climb, there must be some mental cause to it, which actually caused this problem. So we have to probe and find the mental cause which has actually caused the physical ailment in a person. But without the mind's knowledge, okay, exactly, this is what the explanation is, but without the mind's knowledge, nothing will go on in the body. So we have to trace back and find out the reason how the body suffered. Okay, I think I explained. Okay, let's see a case. It is a case of Hashimoto's thyroiditis. This is a case of a lady, aged 60 years. She complained of weakness, weight gain, edema of the whole body, and stiffness. On testing, her thyroid levels were high, showing nature of hypothyroidism with mildly increased TSH, and the levels of both AMA and anti-TPO, antimicrosomal antibody, and anti-thyroid peroxidase antibody, and anti-thyroglobulin antibody were more than 1,000. Okay, she started developing these complaints since a year and was growing weak, so came for a consultation. She actually had these problems and she went to an Ayurvedic doctor, I don't know, and she took some medicines, and he said it is the stiffness and the edema of the body. I don't know what happened. He said it is Vada. Vada means in Malayalam they say it is more of an arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis sort of a thing. And they gave him some medicines, and they gave her some medicines, and she felt little better for some time, and then again she was not getting all that better. Tests were actually not done. So then she came to us. Okay. Here, she also has stiffness of joints and symptoms which mimicked RA. Her blood tests were done and we diagnosed it as Hashimoto's thyroiditis, and rheumatoid arthritis and SLE was ruled out. On taking the case, we got that she was a very jovial person. Okay, I am directly going into the case because too much of details of this cannot be actually, shared over here because of the time limit. A single case taking and an analysis and a rubric selection and the remedial part, the follow-up, everything. If we actually discuss, it might take a lot of time. So I'm just cutting everything short. You know how we actually go about. We take the LSMC part, which I have never left since my college days. Location, sensation, modality, and concomitants are always there and taken and recorded. So that was all done. Okay, I'm just listing out the main points. Okay, she was a very jovial person and a very dutiful housewife who has become very tired and weak nowadays. All she does is do some important work, rest for a while, and then the next. But she does work. I mean, even if she's tired, she never leaves her work. She does it. She stopped being that lively person she was. On asking what happened, the reason they mentioned is that she changed after her elder daughter's marriage, which was 2 years ago. The guy was her relative and she was happy that the proposal came. And within no much time got the daughter married. But there are problems that her daughter is facing now. Okay. So the daughter's problem has become her problem right now. Next. But actually the thing is that she says the daughter is facing problems. On asking more about it, the daughter is actually not facing much problem. The daughter, I'll tell you. On inquiring, I just felt that the daughter was facing common issues at her in-laws' place. Some adjustment difficulties while staying in a new home, but here our patient is suffering. So what happens is that this lady was a very, she has not really understood. She is suffering, thinking that marriage itself should not have been done. And she says it was her decision because it was her relative, and in her house, she actually takes the decisions. So that was understood from there. And almost at the same time, after the elder daughter's marriage, the younger daughter got admission in a faraway college and they went to stay there. So this younger daughter's admission also, she said this because they went for there is some counseling thing after the entrance is over. So the elder daughter had options to choose which college she wants to stay. So this lady had actually inquired about it. She's that smart to inquire about college and all that. Huh? So she inquired and she found that this faraway college, which was a most sought college, and it is a good college. So she advised and she decided in the family that, the daughter can actually take up this college because this is good. So passing out from a reputed college will be good. But she had to stay away from home, which so far till +2 she was at home. So went away to stay in a hostel. And the youngest daughter was not happy with the food in the hostel and the warden, which is pretty common with every student. In some time they will get used to it. And after the college days, they'll cherish it. Our patient feels she shouldn't have let the younger one take admission there, etc. Okay, so what happens is that she is unnecessarily taking responsibilities and blaming herself for situations which are normal but imagined as something serious. Here, the elder daughter's marriage, she says it was she who actually, in a way, did chose the guy, and somehow very, very quickly the marriage was over. Okay, and similarly, the second daughter's also, the younger daughter's also, the admission was totally her choice. So since both of them are not happy, she's blaming herself. But see, a normal thinking should be like, it is common in such settings, so it will get better. You should adjust. That is what a mother should be feeling, but here she's suffering. And one thing I actually felt is that she is a very family-oriented person. I think she is suffering because she is not happy with the fact that she is staying alone at home. It has just become something like an emptiness syndrome is what she is suffering from. That is what she's suffering, but then she's taking up the responsibility and blaming herself, which is what is happening to her. Okay. Now, past history is uterine fibroid with menorrhagia. Pan-hysterectomy was done when she was 48. Now she's 60. So that was like 12 years ago. We needn't really take that. Had hot flushes after that and took homeo medicines and got better. That was like soon after the hysterectomy. So here, if you see the uterine fibroid also must have got some cause there, but I didn't go much into detail because it's all over. And that's it. And I'll tell you more about it. Family history, father died at an age of 82 with old age ailments, which was 6 years ago. Okay, from the date of case taking. Mother living with the elder brother has mild hypertension, nothing much. So they basically, if you see, it's a healthy family, right? If you see the mother and father. Okay, next one, appetite. Generals, appetite is decreased nowadays, mixed diet. So I'm just brushing up again. When you ask about appetite, you ask how the diet is, whether she likes any hot, warm, cold food, whether there is any particular, problem that comes up if she doesn't eat food on time. How long can she actually stay hungry? These are the normal questions I ask along with appetite. But here in this case, it's only this much that was required. I mean, this is the information that is we got, and that is relevant here. Thirst is much, drinks by habit, no dryness of throat or mouth. So that is another thing. Thirst, what is the thirst? What kind of water does she like to drink? Whether there will be any dryness of throat, and that is why she's drinking, or she's actually thirsty. That is one question I usually ask. She likes tepid or cold water more, but not hot water. Okay, that was there. But she likes juices more than water. When you compare juices and water, she likes juices more. Desires and aversion, aggravation to any food substance and all nil. And bladder, bowel is all normal. No history of UTI. Bowel is like once per day, all regular. Perspiration is scanty in the axilla, more on working in kitchen or cleaning, more working. Thermals are not important here in the sense. If you see, she has done her pan-hysterectomy. So her ovaries are gone and she had hot flushes. So with that, during menopause, you don't take thermals. And then the complete over here is thyroid is in a problem. So the hypothalamus, thyroid are all responsible. The ovarian axis is the hypothalamus, thyroid, ovarian axis is responsible for deciding the heat and chilly sensation in our body. So when this is not really working properly, you cannot rely on the thermals that she's giving. That is why, because we have hypothyroid patients who are extremely chilly and hyperthyroid patients who are extremely hot. That is what we learn in surgery as the disease symptom. So we are not taking it here. Okay, just a note. But thermals, when I usually take, I take it as what a person can actually tolerate and what he cannot tolerate. Okay. Then sleep is normal, position is supine or sideways, either straight or sideways. Dreams, nothing particular. Speed of the person is important because a lot of our remedies have this speed. Okay, there are fast remedies and there are slow remedies. So when you finally get a repertorization chart to classify and to take the exact remedy to rule out, this becomes a very important judgment factor. So I usually take speed. So before she was of moderate speed, that's what her husband said. And she was not really, and even now when talking, you can make out whether a person is slow or fast. She is now slow in working, in talking, in eating, in walking, everything she's slow. Now, side and handedness. Side is usually what we talk about. Suppose if a person has pain here, okay, so we say it's the right side. And he also has right knee joint pain. All his affections, all his complaints are on the right side. Even if he has a complaint of some gastritis, he might feel the pain on the right side. So that is the sideness that we're talking about. Okay, so we'll just generalize it and put it as side. The generals, the side, which side is more affected. And handedness of a person is important because she is a right-handed person. So, and here we don't have any side in general. She says she's weak as whole and all her joints were aching. I couldn't really find a progression, whether it is from right to left or left to right or anything like that. So she's a right-handed person. Again, about the right-handedness and left-handedness, I will come to it in the coming cases and explain. We have sensitivity. That is one other thing that I actually inquire. Sensitivity to sun. Okay, we have a lot of remedies which get headache, which gets urticaria, which is sensitive to sun. There are lots of complaints that actually come up with sun, going out in sun, in her, the sunny glare, whatever. So that is one question that I usually ask. Sun. Noise. Noise can be any noise. It can be like a loud noise to a short noise. Some people might say, I cannot sleep with without the noise of something. I cannot. There are a lot of things where she gets frightened with noise. Noise startles with noise. There are a lot of other related rubrics and related symptoms that it come up with noise. The next thing, usually what is being asked during the case taking is about light. So here you have to note a little bit of thing. In case of children, in case of small children, there are some mothers who actually train them by putting a 0-watt bulb or a small light. So in that case, and sometimes all of a sudden one day when you turn off that light, the child might not be very comfortable because it's been trained. Okay, in that case, don't take this light desire for and intolerance to light. But in case of elders, in case of adults, you can actually take it. Suppose if they want light when they sleep, they don't want light when they sleep, all that can be taken. And also sensitivity to glary objects, to reflections, to bright lights, to certain colors, all that can be taken here. Okay, so that is also what you will ask when you ask sensitivity to light. Tight clothing. So you usually ask how well a person can tolerate a tight clothing. It can be a tie, it can be the last collar button, it can be the tightness, especially in case of ladies. You can actually ask them whether undergarments are a problem. Okay, sensitivity, how well they can tolerate it. And even male patients, you can ask them the same thing. Next is sensitivity to touch. They don't they have aversion to be touched. There are people who desire to be touched. That's all magnetized desire to be. They always want that touchy feel. They are more affectionate kind of a remedy. And, there are certain people, and especially, there are certain wives who come. There was a lady. There are not certain wives. There was a lady as my patient. She used to come and say that the husband does not even like to be touched while posing for photographs. So this lady is actually feeling bad that the husband does not like. If somebody's clicking a snap of this and she goes to hold him like this, he will say, no, don't touch me. Just he doesn't appreciate it. So I used to actually think that, suppose if this man is going to be my patient, I can actually take this rubric for him straight away. Aversion to be touched. Okay. So these are the things that you usually ask. And sensitivity to perfumes and strong odors. At sensitivity to atmospheric conditions. Perfumes and strong odors, some people desire that smell, they need it. Some people hate the smells, they get headaches, they get different complaints from it. So all that will give you, all of a sudden you'll get to know a lot of things about the patient as such. Atmospheric conditions, whether the weather, the climate, the sunny weather, rainy weather, cloudy weather, thunder, damp weather, all that. Their reactions and the reactions to all this and allergies in particular can be asked for. Now, next here in our patient, she was sensitive to noise and she said she doesn't like TV or radio. Okay, sensitive to noise, you generally ask, again, all the noise, and you ask about when the TV is played, when music is played, all that. So you get to know a little bit more. She said she doesn't like TV or radio. On inquiring further, she said she feels moody with songs which was dear to her before. So all of a sudden, she has become very moody and gloomy. I can ask, when she says, a lady says she's sensitive to noise, the basic noise, the most noisy thing in the kitchen is pressure cooker. I asked her whether she hates that cooker making noise, the mixie making noise. She said that is all okay. She was okay with it. But then she doesn't like TV or radio in particular. And then when I asked, she said it was the songs that actually made her. So this is a very peculiar thing about her, I felt. Okay, next slide. The next question you should usually ask to get to know the patient is that the senses, vision, smell, hearing, taste, touch can also actually come here as well. And any extrasensory perceptions along with this. See, some patients will have the smell very acute. The moment they enter somewhere, they get the smell. They listen to even things nobody can listen. The smell can be altered. Suppose if you're making them smell something, they get some other smell. The taste can be altered. You give them a sweet and they say it tastes metallic, it tastes bland, there is no taste. It's not corona, it's general. Okay. So all that can be actually inquired about a patient. That is in general. Okay. But here in our case, there is nothing significant. Habits, no habits as such. Sexual relation, she is not interested in anything now. Okay, but the husband is adjusting, so that's okay. Now, life space investigation of this patient. Childhood, happy childhood with 2 brothers, studied pre-degree, got married, good with in-laws. Husband is a very nice person. She says she is lucky. Theirs was a happy family with 2 daughters. Now they are gone and suffering. She says the daughters are suffering, but I think the reality is that she is suffering. Okay. Okay, now coming to the disease, Hashimoto's thyroiditis is an autoimmune disease and the so-called modern medicine calls it uncurable. All they do is they continue giving Eltroxin or Thyronam or Neomercazole or any other T4 hormone for that matter and keep the levels in the blood stable. And the etiology of this is actually unknown. They say genes, increased intake of iodine, radiation exposure, imbalance in sex hormones, etc. But we as homeopaths, we know the reason and the patient knows it too. We just have to ask them and get to know it, right? Probably the first question we would ask is, since when has all these started? Know the journey of the disease. What was the patient going through during that period? Okay, a word of caution with ailments from is that when you take ailments from, it should not be a very, very old ailments from, like, you know, when so many years ago, maybe we will get an ailments from which has happened years ago and the patient has developed some minor ailments since then. Then later on, she has, you know, got many other ailments also, many other physical complaints also. So there must have been a journey of the diseases and she has reached a particular stage where, you know, it is totally different from how it started. So when you see how it all started, she might say something that had happened long ago, but she actually traveled all the way from there to the present state over these many months or years, as we know. So do not take that ailments from. Take it only if it is relevant and take it only if it is of recent origin and the disease remains the same. Okay. So now the next thing, we have taken the case. We know the patient. We have the blood reports and everything. Now next is a case analysis. We have to analyze our patient. I'm going detail only in this case. Okay. Rest will be all just running through. How is our patient? The patient is not so expressive, basically an introvert. Intellect and morals. See, these headings are the things I usually take to analyze a case. Okay, with this, we actually get to know, when I write this, the case analysis is exactly what kind of remedy I would want. So I need a remedy that is not so expressive and basically an introvert. I need a remedy whose morals are good, but decisions, she used to take decisions on her own and who was very diligent. Diligent means pretty good in her work before, but now she is slow. She is a conscientious remedy, like she has that sense of right and wrong in her. So my remedy also should have that sense of right and wrong in her. Okay, in the remedy. Now, memory was good. Nowadays, she cannot remember where she kept things and so on. Will is strong-willed. Nature of disposition is fault-finding and taciturn. She doesn't want to talk. Sensitivity to criticism. Sensitivity can be like, you know, to all the mental factors here. I'm talking about sensitivity to the mental. Before we saw sensitivity in the physical sphere, that was where all the atmospheric conditions, strong orders, touch and everything, sun, noise, everything came. Now this is sensitivity in the mental sphere. The mental sphere sensitivity is, you are sensitive to scolding, you are sensitive to what? Insult, you're sensitive to somebody's anger, sensitive to injustice. Here she is sensitive to criticism, so she has a bit of high ego. The only egoistic people tend to get sensitive to criticism, criticizing her, but okay, sensitive to criticism, ego. But here what happens is that she is criticizing herself for the problems. The problem is there somewhere and she's criticizing herself. Now, emotional grief is there. Emotional sphere, what all we have? We have grief. She is affectionate as well. These are the two things that we got. Anticipation, apprehension, and anxiety. She's anxious about her children. Attachment is with the family. Some people can be attached to work. Some people can be attached to, some materialistic things, a lot of things. So that is what attachment is a question. Anticipation, apprehension, and anxiety, we have to ask for, whether any anticipatory anxiety is there, whether any particular anxiety. It can be health, it can be, anything, all that. So such questions have to be inquired. Fears, nil. No much fears. Next one, the rubrics of the mind that we usually come across. We usually tend to take in this particular cases, reproaching himself. What I took, the main rubric I took is reproaching himself. But there are a few related rubrics that I actually went through. Mind, delusion, wrong done, he has. Delusion is where the person actually thinks it is like this, whereas it is actually not. So a false perception, so delusion, wrong, done wrong, he has a strong belief. It's not illusion is false perception. Delusion is where the person is actually he is believing that it is like this. Okay, the situation is like this. So she is thinking that wrong done, she has done something wrong. But when I saw that, I thought reproaching himself itself is a better rubric. I'm just telling this so that you also tend to search this. I am actually, my lecture, I am aiming at the children in the sense that I came to know that there will be a lot of interns and new homeopaths who will be like new to homeopathy. So I am just aiming at them. I know there are a lot of my teachers online. There are a lot of my excellent homeopaths who are here online, but then definitely if I'm wrong, you can actually correct me as well. This is just my way of dealing a case. Okay, so to the interns and new homeopaths, I'm just telling you to take it up in such a way. Okay, so let's get back to this. Mind, delirium, blames himself for his folly. Okay, delirium is another thing. You are not in your conscious, where do you find delirium? In fever, where you are not conscious, you are in your some unconscious state. So here, if you see, this lady was a very active lady. She has become so dull and so weak now. So I would also like to take this, blames himself for his folly. She has done something wrong. But again, these are related rubrics. That's it. Mind, delirium, wrongs, fancied. Mind, depression, sadness, wrong way, as if having done everything in. Mind, discouraged feelings, reproaches himself. Mind, worries, full of ailments from. Mind, dwells on past disagreeable events. Mind, dwells on past disagreeable events, grief from past offenses. Okay, there are all these rubrics that I've mentioned. Then what actually you see is that she is indifferent, she is dull, she is brooding grief over imaginary grief, brooding grief over. Then, okay. Mind, gloomy, morose. Okay, sorry. Gloomy, morose, mind, okay, this is the other thing. She said she cannot really like any songs which were dear to her. So I've taken this as mind, music, general, aggravation, grief, ailments from. Physical general rubrics I've taken here is general's weakness, sensation of being, grief from. And particular rubric is that her thyroid gland is affected. So glands, glandular remedy. Okay, for all the locations, I usually like checking it in Repertorium Universal. Okay, the three basic rubrics that I've taken is only this: reproaching himself, music, general aggravation, glands remedies. Lycopodium, pulsatilla, acid phos, sulfur, thuja are the remedies that have come. These three rubrics are important. These three rubrics have been covered by these 5 remedies. Now, first of all, do you think she is a lycopodium? If Thermals was there, we would have said lycopodium is a hot patient. So That is it. Now we can actually, when you come to a repertorial totality like this, you can actually rule out and take up the remedies which are, you know, chilly and hot is one way you can actually take the next set of remedies. So here Lycopodium generally likes warm food. Lycopodium has more of anticipatory little anxiety. They won't take up responsibilities. That such basic things of Lycopodium was asked about, and we know she's not like that. So I checked it. Pulsatilla was thirstless. This lady is also not so thirsty. Then Pulsatilla has that decision-making capacity is poor. Changeability is there. But here she took the decision of getting the daughter married. She took the decision of getting the admission in the particular college. So Pulse is ruled out. We have acid force. So actually when I saw acid force, there is a particular grief that is there. It's a homesick remedy. So acid force was actually fitting the picture. Sulfur, she was not a sulfur. As we know, sulfur has this lot of other, you know, all the rat philosophies and things, and it's more of a lively, expressive person. This was not there. She did have that fixed thought that, you know, she is responsible for it. That is a fixed idea in her. As if you see in Tuja, I jumped to Tuja in between. But then that Tuja was ruled out because, you know, she was not, that fragile feeling was not there. I asked her, suppose if you get a repertorial chart like this, you have to ask them whether, you know, do you feel that, you know, you don't, when you lie down, do you feel as if you are fragile or something like that? You can actually check that out. And even the history of uterine fibroid, you know, it made me think whether she is Tuja. But then when you go back and read acid force and Tuja, I mean, as we all do, acid force was fitting her picture better than Tuja. That was the thing. Okay, now we will quickly go through the reports. This was on 30th October 2019 when she came to me. Her T4, free T4 is 0.72. T3 is 94.64. Thyroid stimulating hormone was only, TSH was only 6.5274, which I think some Ayurvedic medicines have, you know, actually have had an impact there. I do not know, because I expected a much higher TSH with the kind of AMA and anti-TPOA levels and all that. Anti-microsomal antibody is more than 1000. Anti-thyroglobulin antibody is more than 1000. This is all the same day. Next, after acid force 1 and 1 dose given on 5th November after the case taking. So after case taking, this medicine was prescribed on 5th November. On 13th Jan, her TSH was 10.5709. But AMA has come down to 6.26, which was such a good news. So I thought, let her TSH be a little high. It's okay, because the higher level thing is her antibodies coming down. Okay, so I left the TSH like that, didn't interfere. And anti-thyroglobulin antibody has also come down to 33.51. So that is also good. Okay, next, in the previous result was in Jan. We did once more in February because the TSH was a little high. I just wanted to know what is happening. So the very next month this was done. It was 4.6797. So well and good, no problem. Next, we started doing it every 3 months, February, March, April, May. May, it was the antisomal and the AMA was 2.81. Anti-thyroglobulin antibody was 0.64, which is also good within normal limits. She is better with her autoimmune state. Now, checking her thyroid TSH, the T3 and T4 are in level. TSH is 3.8265, which is also under control. Next. What could be, okay, so with this, she's better. 11th May, that is like 3 months back. Okay, May, June, July, August. Okay, 2 months back. Now, let's get back to this once again. What could be the cause of thyroid gland affection? What happens in an autoimmune disease? Thyroid gland affection, where here the body is producing, what happens in an autoimmune disease? Here the body is producing antibodies against its own gland and thereby stopping the gland from producing a hormone it needs. So the body needs a particular hormone, but somewhere we ourselves are going against our own body. Okay, so here the emotion related to it is what we are looking for. So the emotion related to is she is blaming herself. So we say when you consider mind, self-love, love for self is what you need to survive. Okay, we need to love ourselves to survive. So selfishness is okay. Now, the moment we start hating ourselves, blaming ourselves, there are chances that our body will also tend to, get that kind of a message from us and react in that way. So that is what happens in an autoimmune disease. Most of the autoimmune disease, if you actually ask them, what is it that you don't like in you? We get a $1 million answer from them. And then, you can actually get the feeling that they're going through. They will be going through this particular phenomena, that they'll be hating some particular character of theirs. They'll be blaming themselves for it. Okay. So, and there will be some way it will be related. It can be a self-blame. It can be a lot of things. Now, what could be the cause of thyroid gland affection? I would like to add a note on a system called as Germanic New Medicine, developed by Dr. Reich Gerdhammer. And he is a German oncologist. So according to him, there is a history. Okay, I really request everybody, those who do not know about this, to go and read about it. It is all there in Wikipedia, and you just go online and search about it, how he developed this after the death of his son. He actually developed cancer of his testes, and the son was shot dead, and he developed a cancer. And then he found that the emotion related to it, he found how our body, the left side of the body gets related, the right get affected, the right side of the body gets affected, and all that. So according to his theory, the thyroid glands gets affected with a feeling of helplessness. So when you feel that you cannot help a particular situation and you really feel bad about it, it is not just the feeling. A small feeling will give rise to small inflammations, a minor problem. A greater feeling will give rise to maybe a nodule in the thyroid with a little bit of hormonal changes. But a grave problem will give rise to something like an autoimmune disease. It all depends on your reaction. So that is also important. Okay. Now, I have something to say. When you ask something like this, like a thyroid gland question comes, you ask them, what exactly made you feel so helpless? So this is what you're asking. The patient will be like totally, there are cases where you don't get, the patients might not be able to find out. They themselves would not have realized their emotion underneath. Okay. So, but in some cases you will get it straight away, and that reduces your case taking time to almost like 3/4. And you will be able to, really get the confidence of the patient as well. And also, it's not just for that. The moment you ask them, what situation was it that made you feel helpless? So they will be saying that, this particular situation happened, I felt helpless. So next, your question is that, what was the emotion that you actually underwent? How did you feel about it? So their feeling is important, because that decides our remedy. That is the rubric that we have to take to get the remedy. And sometimes in particular cases, they must have done something out of the reaction. They will do something out of the reaction. That is because of their miasmatic background. Okay. So this is my understanding from all the lectures of, I must say, Dr. Praful Vijayakar. And this has actually given me a lot of result. So when a situation is there, their emotions associated with the situation gives you the individual person's remedy, the rubrics that you have to take, and the thing, what they would do with it. Suppose a person is revengeful and he does something totally, I think I'll come to it in the case that comes forward. Yeah. Next, this is a quick case. Okay, this is just a case of thyroiditis. In this case, where a lady presented with swelling in the neck with a sensation as if something is lodged there. USG was done and revealed thyroiditis. Blood hormone levels were normal. Okay, this is the first thing, the USG. She is, okay, 13/10/2018, before starting the treatment, thyroiditis. Okay, minimally enlarged size, nothing much. Similarly, onset, duration, progression, ailments was probed into. Nothing worth was got as a correlation. On questioning whether there was any incident in the family which made you feel helpless. Okay, first when I asked her onset, duration, progression, and what happened at that time and all, she couldn't say. But this particular question, she could open up. She opened up immediately and said her mother-in-law came to stay with them, and the patient was not able to bring her mother home when her mother had a fall. Like, the mother-in-law came to stay with them, her mother had a fall, so she couldn't go and help the mother, her own mother, and her mother had to manage alone there. She could not go and stay there and help her, nor bring the mother here. Okay. Her feeling, what she felt sad, gloominess. She did not share it with anybody. She did not share it with her husband. But from that incident, she hates her husband's sister-in-law. Not husband, sister-in-law, husband, sister. Okay, her sister-in-law. Because her husband's sister could have actually taken the husband's mother. In that case, she could have brought the mother. The husband's sister knew everything, but she did not help. So reaction is that she cries alone thinking about it. Okay. So she's a very closed person. You can think of psychosis here. She was a very diligent person, a rank holder in school and degree days, married and did not work because her household demanded that. Husband was a responsible person. She was duty bound, diligent, sensitive lady. Her world has always been her family since her marriage. Appearance wise, she was lean, not so expressive in the clinic, had headaches on going out in the sun, which used to get better by cold bathing. Adding it to the rubric generals, the remedy that came up was Natramur. Okay, such close things and all that. General rubrics were taken, not that great rubrics. So I would like to mention this gland, the location rubrics, Murphy's repertory, glands, thyroid glands remedies, Murphy's repertory, glands, glandular remedies. So I would like to take the remedy with a more wider number of remedies here. So Murphy's repertory, glands remedies were taken than thyroid gland remedies. Okay, the 1 dose of Natramur 1 and 1 dose was given. Okay, symptoms taken for hepatizations, mind, silent grief with hatred, sun, headaches and all that. Okay, the normal study. When was this? 2019-6. Soon it was over. Next is a case of hypothyroidism. This patient presented with increased levels of TSH, presenting classical symptoms of hypothyroidism, also complained of dyspepsia symptoms and allergies since teenage. Okay. Here, in this case, her TSH was high, palpitation, hair fall, irregular menses, emotional irritability were her complaints with normal ultrasound of the thyroid gland. The whole case was taken in detail because there was no specific ailments from nor any emotional correlation to the specific cause associated with thyroid gland. Helpless feeling could not be elicited as such. Okay, I asked her, but that kind of a feeling was not got. In short, the patient is the 4th child in her family of 6 children. She was average in her studies, completed PG in chemistry and got a government job through PSC. Married with 2 girls, financially doing good. Childhood. She was the most wanted person in her family. Everybody calls her to help and she happily does it too. She helps her elder sisters and younger ones in doing all the school work projects. So my question was that why does she help all of them? Do they help her back? On asking why she helps everyone, the answer was because who else will help them? I do because I can. Oh, such a nice lady, right? They can be very cunning. Okay, I mean everybody wants to project themselves as good, so she is the person who's doing it because she can do it. She finds it She finds it difficult to manage home and work. But husband supports her in everything. Her whole narration was around how husband does everything for her. Okay, so husband is a very nice person who's supporting her all the time. Next. Okay, from dropping her to the office to picking her, buying things, managing the kids, he takes her, okay, for buying things for the kids. And, you know, every month he takes her and buys things that are required for the kitchen. And he knows exactly what is required. So she doesn't know, that is one thing. Every week he buys vegetables for that whole week also. From this, it was clear that he decides things in the household and she's comfortable with it. A lady who's managing the kitchen, who's cooking, has no role in deciding what is to be made for the week is something, you know, strange. Everybody does know. Almost all the person who's managing the kitchen will actually know what is to be made on which day. But here the husband goes and buys a vegetable for the whole week. So the rubric that actually comes into our mind is mind delusion, that head belongs to someone else. She is the one who cannot think. So that rubric actually came to me, but as well, I would like to mention here because this is exactly what's happening. Then next one. From this, it was clear that he does things in the house and she's comfortable with it. She is in good relation with her in-laws. In case of a wedding in the family, she goes and stays there, helps them in everything. Again, answer was the same. Who else is there to do all that? I can do, I do. Okay. In office, she does her work, accompanies her colleagues in case of need. She asked, okay. Then I asked her, do you ask permission? So she said she asked permission to her husband whether she can go. They have 2 children. Both the pregnancies, she had fainting spells. Okay, this I found very important. She had fainting spells during pregnancy, which had no cause. There was no cause. There was no anemia. There was no hypoglycemia. Every time she faints, they used to take her. The first pregnancy, especially, the fainting was like the first thing for her. She had never fainted so far. So as she fainted, they used to take her to the hospital, and they found that, you know, she had no anemia. She had no hypoglycemia. She fainted during labor. and the fainting was all through her pregnancy. She also fainted during her labor, and this was in the first and second case. Okay, there are 2 children, and both turned into LSAS. Okay, prominent generals are thirstless, weak digestion, and thermally hot. She has mild hyperacidity problem and all that, and she has allergies too. Okay, my understanding, she doesn't have much of responsibilities at home. Husband manages. She is helpful. Decision making is not her department, but the husband consults her and decides. So possibly, what if he doesn't? Okay, what happens? She doesn't know, because that has not happened so far. But probable questions that you could usually ask: whether she plans to go for trips alone. She goes to help around people. Is it because she wants to, like, you know, go out and do things on her own and things like that? Whether she plans for trips with her ladies friends and all that, I asked. So nothing like that. What would happen if she doesn't help them? This question clicked. Okay, what would happen if she doesn't help them? There she relieved that then they might not like her. Okay, if she doesn't help, nobody will like her. So do you think people will like you only if you help them? Yeah, to a bit, to a level, but then this is like out and out going the way to help everybody, right? So her need is to be liked by everyone. The way to it is she chooses to help everyone. Okay, next. Middle East theme. Okay, I took this because right from her childhood, she has been a person who is helping her siblings in doing school projects. Then, you know, all the time, if you see, she goes and stays for weddings and all that. So in their house, leaving her own children and husband here, husband might be taking care. Otherwise, I don't know how a person can just go and stay somewhere else like that from the family. So the Middle East theme is something. It is just a part of Repertorium Universale 3. Okay, it is, the theme is basically for when you get a theme running through and through a person, and the theme I took here is helpful. Middle East theme, helpful was the rubric I took here. So attach the rubric. There are 63 remedies. Okay, I've just put a screenshot here. All the main remedies are here. I would just go through the main remedies: Argenta nitricum, aurum, then bambusa. I don't generally use the rare remedies. Okay, I'm very bad at it. I really don't know that, so I generally don't use it much. Pulsatilla, sulfur are the main remedies. Okay, next. So the repertorial totality was like this: Middle East theme phenomena helpful, yielding disposition, the first 3 rubrics, then irresolution, she cannot decide, indecision, faintness pregnancy during and faintness labor during were both marked in her. So I took both, and that I thought was something very peculiar to her. So I took both. The remedies that came was pulse and nuts. So there was no much problem in deciding, because she's, you know, you can think of nuts because she actually studied well and she got the job. She got a nice job through PSC and all that, but then she didn't have any sort of arrogance or any kind of that Natsomika type of a feature. So pulse was given to her. Okay, remedy given was Pulsatilla 1 and 1 dose. TSH kept reducing in the follow-up. She felt better, the palpitations and all that. From the second follow-up, her old headache came back. She had headache things once before, and that actually came back. That got better. Once the headache got better, her sneezing complaint started. Strict advice was given on food timings, and her dyspepsia, I'm sorry about the spelling, dyspepsia improved, and she could eat anything. Digestion improved. But every time she complains, each time she gets this, she will make my life miserable. She'll keep calling. Okay, and then, you know, every time she complains of this, lot of globules and 1 grains in different forms had to be prescribed for each complaint. That was a little irritating. And complaints she kept presented during the follow-ups, and she kept calling me. But the decreasing TSH, the TSH was like decreasing steadily. So that is what kept her with me. Otherwise, somebody would have told her, being a pulsatilla, she would change and go somewhere else. And then the rest of it followed to normal TSH levels post-treatment. I'll just show you the reports. Here, the first one was done in 26 March 2019. All the T3 and T4 are normal. TSH is 23.3482. 23, okay. Now here in April, within a month, because, you know, the headaches was the first thing that she actually said. Okay, getting an old symptom of a headache back is a good sign. Again, here I would like to tell you something. I always use the chart of suppression by Dr. Praful Vijayakar. Sir has beautifully mentioned it. Suppose if you know it really, that can be a good tool to understand whether you have given the right remedy. Okay, because giving pulsatilla and you always tend to be shaky, right? You have just given one dose and you're going to wait. So you really don't know. When she said the headaches have come back, and that those were like severe headaches, so I really did not know whether I'm doing the right thing. So what I thought is I will just check the TSH once again. An old symptom coming back is good, but the severity of it also has to be evaluated. The patient, the suffering patient is ultimately are concerned, right? Be it anything, the patient shouldn't suffer much. So here the TSH had come down to 14, which was such a relief. So I said, please somehow bear with the headaches, and different type of PL was given, and she was happy. Then the next thing, we did it in end of April. Now, next one was in August. It was 8.59. Again, from 14, it was, last time it was 14, it was reduced to 8.5909. From August to October, in 2 months, it has again come down to 2.7598. She has come to her normal levels. Now, I said this is normal. You can stop it now and we will see. Okay. Now, February, she did it once again, and it was normal. This is July. This July. Today is 31st of July. 3rd July, she did it again. There is a small fluctuation. I'm still looking at it because, you know, from 2, it comes to 1, it comes to 2, it comes to 1, but I think it'll be okay. So that is how this is going. From October, I stopped the medicines in the sense all the placebos were stopped. And now she checks and just, you know, lets me know. That's it. This is one case. Next. Okay, next is a case of right ovarian. Let me just check the time. 8:31. We have to like hurry up. Case of right-sided ovarian adnexal mass. Okay, emotional cause was a lot. Okay, ovaries according to GNM, ovaries are concerned with, what is the function of an ovary? Ovary is concerned with, they produce ovum, right? So it has to be concerned with a loss conflict, basically a loss of something that you cherish as a child, something that you cherish as your emotional support, a mother-child relationship or something like that. So you have to check for the emotional causes, loss conflict. Okay, patient age 16 had complaints, 16 years. She is +1 student or something, had complaints of severe abdomen pain, loss of appetite, visited the doctors, they diagnosed it as right ovarian adnexal mass and suggested laparoscopic removal. Then they opted for homeopathy. Presenting symptoms of pain in abdomen, it usually comes on certain days, especially on days she eats sweets. And the pain usually starts at night. Even if she has sweets for lunch, the pain starts only by night. That was something very peculiar I found. They take some painkillers and she sleeps. Menses is not regular since the time. This thing comes with pain on first 2 days. So with menses, she has severe pain on the first 2 days. This is a report. A USG abdomen was done. This is in 2018, 24/6 reported. Okay. Now, what is it? Right adnexal cystic lesion with eccentric echogenic component, no internal vascularity, ovaries not separately visualized. Okay, similarly, they immediately sent her for MRI also. So MRI was taken. MRI, let me read the impression. Well circumscribed cystic lesion with an enhancing wall and multiple small mural nodules noted in the right adnexal mass. Okay. All that basically likely to possibly right ovarian cystic neoplasm, likely benign, and small left para ovarian dominant follicle, which means she's ovulating as well. Okay, so now I would like to tell you something about the right and left side. Okay, I'm going to come to it, so I will tell you past history. She has recurrent otitis media, chickenpox at 10 years, small pustular eruptions every summer, 3 years, occasional fever, brother's complaint, alopecia areata, mother uterine fibroid with cervical spondylosis, menstrual history, menarche at 14 years, irregular. She has leukorrhea which stains her panty yellow and causes itching. Then appetite, thirst and all that, this is all there. Now I think I have to hurry up a little bit. So this is there. I'll just tell you the gist of it. Okay. The main thing is that she likes sweets, but sweets causes abdomen pain. She likes it. And constipation also she has once in 2 days, hard naughty stool. One thing is that with the kind of this adnexal masses, there can be a lot of GI disturbances. So this GI disturbances does not, I don't think there is any other entity than this, because the USG abdomen was normal. So the GI disturbance is actually because of the adnexal mass. Sleep, okay, here, the side and handedness is like she is a left-handed person. Okay, the scan shows that this ovarian mass is on the right side. So the usual left and right correlation, left-handed person means her dominant side is left. So, and the scan shows that the ovarian mass is on the right. I will come to it. Okay. Sensitivity. Why this is important will be dealt. Sensitivity to sun, noise, all that. Nothing much. Light, she needs light at night because she has fear of dark. Cannot tolerate summer. Not affected by tight clothing. Nothing significant happen. Okay, okay, this is the right and left side of the body. Ovaries are associated with loss conflict. Right side of the body is, okay, like right side of the body is usually dominated by the left side of the brain. You know that, right? And right side of the brain, usually, not usually, right side of the brain is affects the left side of the body. We know about the nerve decussation at the level soon after the medulla oblongata and all that. So this is the basic concept. Now we say the right side of the body is controlled by the left brain, which is more of an intellectual brain, which is more of the rational thinking. So such people are affected by conditions, stressful situations from right-sided symptoms relate to stressful situations from boss, parents, uncles, aunts, etc. Okay, and left-sided is control of the left side of the body is controlled by the right brain. Right brain is more a creative brain, is more of the emotional side of a person. So the you know, did I just confuse it up? I'm sorry. Left brain controls the right side, right brain controls the left side. Right brain is the more emotional side. Okay, so the right brain controls the left side of the body, and the right brain is more emotional and creative side of your brain. So that controlling the left side would be like this. Now here the left-sided symptoms in a patient. Left-sided symptoms in a patient mostly denote some unhappy circumstances or life situations relating to mother, children, or those who are dependent on him. I would actually come to this a little later. In case we have time, I'll come to this. Otherwise, I request those who are new to it to go and read. Others definitely know it. Okay. Next. To know your left and right dominance, you can actually, see this. According to me, I find the shoes as pink and white. And mine is a more creative brain, I think. So if your right brain is dominant, you will see the combination of pink and white color. If your left brain is dominant, you will see it gray and green color. Try with your loved ones. It's very interesting. Okay, now to know whether a person is left-handed or right-handed, you can ask them to clap. A right-handed person will clap like this. Left-handed person will clap like this. Suppose if the handedness is being compromised and somebody has forcefully made them the other side, like usually here in India and all, we always write with right hand. So they must have, suppose if a person is writing with left hand, somebody would have forcibly made him into a right-handed person. In that case, they would be clapping like this. You ask them to open a bottle. They will hold it with the left hand, and opening with the right hand is more right-handed person. Holding with the left hand, holding with a right hand, opening with the left hand is a left-handed person. Okay, next. Right-sided. Okay, here in this case, she is left-handed person. So her right side is the emotional side. Okay. We will see that affected. Okay, what happened here is her mother got transferred and she was staying in the hostel. Mother was staying in a hostel. So this girl started missing her mother. She was a very demanding child, has always been possessive. She has a strong competition with her brother. She feels that parents like brother more than me. She does so many things. She's not happy with whatever she gets, and there is a constant comparison with what her friends have. She is a fighter, irritable girl, intelligent, grasps quickly, keeps up the revenge. Under stress, tension, she needs mother with her. So the rubrics taken was mind discontented, jealousy children between, fear dark off, desire sweets but aggravates, milk aversion, and pain aggravation night. But see, these are the other ovary affected rubrics, but then I did not really take them. Okay, because that's why I've put them in a other color. I did not take them because they were not covering it properly. The remedy I got, it was narrowing down so much. So I removed the location and checked. And when I actually saw, I'll just show you the repertory chart. This is what we got: discontented, jealous, fear dark off, sweets desire, sweet aggravation, and pain abdomen night. Merksol was got. She could be a Merksol. But then that kind of a out and out kind of contradiction or out and out anger was not there as in Merck. Okay. Now, pulse was there, but is she a pulse? She's not that kind of person who was yielding and all that, so pulse was ruled out. Then sulfur was there, but again she did not have any sulfur features, so that was ruled out. Lyco and calcarea sulf, arsenic. So arsenic being chili was already ruled out. Lyco, she was not a lyco because she did not have that kind of anticipation. She did not like warm food and all that. So the remedy finally what was given was calcarea sulf. Okay, when you go back, the pustules that she gets, the yellow leucorrhea, all that can be covered by calcarea sulf as well. So calcarea sulf was given. Let's go back. After treatment, calcarea sulf 1 dose. Here, impression of no significant sonographic abnormalities detected at present. Okay, so this is there. Okay. Next is a case of PCOS with a small uterine myoma. She presented, okay, is there anything else I need to mention here? I think that's it. If I remember, I shall come back. Case 5 is a small case of PCOS with small uterine, a myoma. She presented with irregular menses, US abdomen revealed bilateral PCOS pattern, and a small seedling uterine fibroid of 1 centimeter. Okay, now let's find out the emotion beneath this. Ovaries, as we said, it is loss conflict. Here it is bilateral PCOS. So more questions cannot be asked, like left and right and things like that. Uterus, somewhere her feminine ego has been hurt. Uterus is related with nurturing a child. That is the feminine part of the female. Okay, nurturing a child. So uterus relations have to be somewhere related with a feminine ego, or it can be related with your own child. That has not been mentioned here because that was not relevant with the case. That's why it was not mentioned. But actually there is that also. These questions were asked, and she said she liked the guy who was her senior in college, and she was sincere in that relationship. But then later she got a feeling that he's cheating on her, and she investigated and found that he had another girlfriends too. I asked her, why do you think that happened? First was she was blaming him in the beginning. Later said that the other girl whom he is with right now, she started blaming that girl. Okay, that girl also has so many other boyfriends, and he will learn someday for doing this to me, and that day I will call him and talk to him. So she's waiting for that day. So she's revengeful. With just that question of mine, she opened up and spoke a lot about it. She was as if she was waiting to talk about it. Okay, she is pursuing CA. She told me that she has cleared all the exams except the mains, which was a lie. I got to know that from her mother. She projected herself as the most wonderful person. The whole case taking, she kept talking. I asked a question and she was kept describing. But you know, it was all, she was lying basically, that I'll tell you. Presently, her marriage is fixed and she wants a menstrual regularity to get cleared soon. On finishing the session and handing over the medicine, she repeatedly asked me for how many days the medicine would last and for how long she has to take it. And then, you know, she told me that everybody told me to go to the gynec in one hospital here, but I came to you. As if, you know, she's giving me a lot of importance, or she's threatening me as well, because there are a lot of people who are waiting to get the result. And usually I see that, you know, people who ask, how many days are these medicines for? Especially when you give medicines, you charge them, you ask, and then they'll be like, you know, assessing, okay, this charge and this. I actually find that a lot in this average kind of persons who are like more money minded. Okay, from her mother, I got to know, okay, this is her real story. From the mother, I got to know that about her studies. She has just passed her prelims in CA, whereas she said she has finally cleared it. And that time she'll clear it if she's, okay, at that time she will clear, okay. She said, the mother also said, and that she will clear it if she studies because she's intelligent. She lost the interims because she was lazing around. Her younger sister is an investigator and has found mails and messages of other boys on her phone. According to her mother, she had boyfriends since her school days. So according to me, this is my analysis. Okay, so that's not her first boyfriend. What to feel so bad about, and you know, as if she was the most sincere Sita there. Nothing. Also, this younger sister also found things of others in her sister's bag. Okay, so this is important. I'm questioning. The mother has found that she steals it, and like the mother is smart, the younger sister also together, they actually asked whose it is, and they found out, and they indirectly asked the friends and found that, you know, she actually steals these things from them, and she very you know, very silently joins with them in searching for these things, the lost things. Okay, she was that cunning, or that kind of a very sly person. She was a performer in school, has bagged many prizes for various competitions, and is above average in studies. General's increased sense of smell, any slightest noise, pain. She cannot tolerate pain as well. Expressive, lively talker, thermally hot and thirsty. Okay, she's a very, this is again the analysis. She is all that, always a performer, takes the limelight. She is a liar, manipulative, kleptomaniac, revengeful, malicious, vindictive, resentment, spiteful. All these are the rubrics that would come. Has avarice, jealousy, thermally hot, thirsty, extremely sensitive to all noises, touch, taste, smell, etc. So these are the related rubrics: mind, senses acute, mind awareness heightened, environmental orientation increased, sensitive, oversensitive impressions to all external. These are the general rubrics that can actually come along with this, okay, where all the senses are high. She gets a smell is acute, her hearing is acute, all that. Now, this is the repertorial totality. I'm sorry that it has little blurring. This is one totality I took because this the first rubric is from Repertorium Universale, where brain senses general acute was taken. Okay, because this has 50 rubrics. The rest of the rubrics is kleptomania, liar, hateful, hatred, revengeful hatred. Okay, the second two medicines came up, tarantula and natsomika. The next rubric is I think I put this thing. The other rubric I had actually taken is mind senses acute, okay, which had 66 remedies. I'm really sorry. Both the slides are actually same. Okay, I'm really sorry about it. Okay, the other one had 66 remedies. I tried repertorizing with both. That is what I'm trying to tell you. But the remedies got was natsomika and tarantula itself. Okay. That's it. And this is the sonography. Like, but there's one thing, this lady was not at all a regular patient of mine. Okay, she will come and she will go. That is the thing. Where is her first? Okay, wait. This is her first. Okay, yeah. This is her first. I'm sorry. This is her first USG. Where the last impression is uterus is anteverted, measures this and shows an anterior wall seedling intramural fibroid of 1 centimeter, no submucous fibroid or polyp. Then all that, right ovary measures okay, left ovary measures okay, and bilateral PCOD pattern was noted. That is what was written. Again, the impression, same thing is written. Okay, this was on 24/3/2016. Okay, so all this after case taking. The remedy prescribed was Tarantula hispanica. 2 remedies came up, natsomika and tarantula. I found tarantula more fitting. Okay, because she was not that ambitious of Nux. If she was, she would have cleared the entrance and she wouldn't have lied so much about it. So this is the second one. Okay, here tarantula 200 was given. She got married, menses were regular. I had advised her to take a scan after 4 months, but she never returned after that. Okay. After 2016. Next visit was in May 2017, 1 year, 2 months. She was out of station with her husband for a year after the first consultation. Menses were regular till 3 months ago. Repeated the USG and this showed mild right-sided PCOD pattern. So both sides were over. Now you don't know. Sometimes it might be like it got cured and it came back. We do not know. I asked her for all the possible causes. There was nothing much. I don't know whether this lady will mention also. And the other thing is that she had this right. I thought I will anyways experiment giving her 1 more dose of tarantula. So tarantula hispanica 200, 1 more dose was given. Her menses became regular from July 17 and she conceived normally in the month of December 2017. So here LMP date is 7/12/17. So after that she conceived. This is her second trimester scan report and she delivered a normal healthy baby. Now, this is a case of dermoid cyst, the next one. This is all just brushing up, okay? I am running short of time. We will just quickly go through. Uterus has a small hyperechoic area. Ovary has a left-sided dermoid cyst. The remedy given was Sepia 1M, okay? Now, this is the dermoid cyst is left ovarian dermoid cyst. So here, next, if you see, there is a grade 2 fatty liver. So when you see a dermoid cyst to a fatty liver in the USG, the date was like one is 10/1/19, the other one is 5/6/19. So if you see in a matter of 5 months, the ovarian dermoid cyst is gone, but she has come up with fatty liver grade 2. So when you see again the Herring's law of cure by Dr. Praful Vijayakar becomes very important here. Thanks. And you know that from the 5th layer it has come to the 3rd layer. So I just left it like that. I have not interfered at all. Okay. Why Sepia was given was the whole history, something like this itself, and left-sided, and she was totally a suffering housewife who's totally weary in life. And this is another case. Okay. case of mild fatty liver, gallbladder calculus, adenomyosis with uterine fibroid. Liver is usually concerned with starvation conflict. Starvation conflict means it's financial burden. Gallbladder is concerned with, just 2 more minutes, I'll just quickly go through. Gallbladder is concerned with territorial anger conflict, identity conflict, where, you know, sir also says, Vijayka sir also says that it is because of distribution of money also comes a problem. Okay. In case of gallbladder. Then uterus is concerned with procreation, implantation, gender conflict. So procreation and implantation is where you are talking about your child. Gender conflicts is where your femininity is getting affected. The remedy given was Oramet-1. And this was a case where the lady was a divorcee. She couldn't live with her husband. She was a divorcee, but the children were with her and her younger son. She had a daughter, elder daughter, and the younger one was a son. The son committed suicide. So she was totally depressed and she did not want to leave. And all those kind of aurum symptoms were very marked in her. At the same time, they had a family business. So she was, this business was actually set up by her and her husband. During the whole of the divorce case was going on, she actually strived to get that business to her side because the kids are with her and the husband did not want the kids as well. So she had that kind of financial insecurity, possibly with which the liver must have been affected, or rather there. Territorial anger conflict, I think the business to whom it will go through was a problem. Uterus, definitely she would have been worried about her children, and after his death, after the son's death, she would have been totally devastated with that also. So these were the things. Okay, the scan shows, okay, date of birth, this age is not there. Please check the date of birth is 77. This it was done in 2017, so she's 40 years of age. Okay, and the scan impression shows fatty liver, mild fatty liver. Okay, gallbladder calculus, urinary bladder shows cystitis, and bulky uterus. The uterus, other things are all there. It is multiple seedling myoma here. You will see, check the uterus, you will see posterior myometrium of lower uterine segments and all that. Multiple Nabothenian cysts are also seen within the cervix. So cervix is also affected. Cervix affection has a different thing, which will be a little more difficult. You can come to it. Next, this is like the next scan after. This is taken in 2017, August. This is taken in 2019, June. It did take some time for all this to go. So this is like grade 2 fatty liver is there. Next. Okay, the last impression, left ovarian cyst is functional and grade 2 fatty liver is there. Here also we get to know that, okay, fatty liver grade 2 is okay when it is coming down from that previous report, because it is a curing process is still going on types. Okay. Now, next is a case of autism. Do we have time? I'll just tell you very, this is not that important here. Basically what happened is that I would like to tell you all, for autism cases in general, take the history of the pregnancy, history of the mother, what happened to her during that time, what she felt at that time because of the problem, the emotions she felt because of the situation happening at that point of time, and you open up the case, that's it, and add it with the reaction of the patient. This patient never used to talk. Alternating states was there, no sense of pain, wounds prone to unusual boldness. This is all about the child, okay? And what is it? She will eat thrown nails, she will eat all the indigestible things, very restless, not cooperative at school, involuntary stool, soiling clothes, doesn't ask for food, rolls in sleep, never eats without feeding by her mother, and she will just go and walk out and all that, and anger, throwing things, desires animals, restless, jumping, desires raw vegetables, grinding tooth, nocturnal enuresis. Okay, all this is there. Ailments from, okay, desires, fish, salt and all that are here. Ailments from is there. This case taking is actually from the government homeo dispensary. Okay, this lady had actually consulted in a dispensary before, and you get the charts. So she came and gave it to me. My chart is different from this. I just showed you this, okay. During pregnancy, asked. So what happened is that there has been a lot of insult from her in-laws side during pregnancy. Not insult, there has been a lot of problems from her in-laws side, but this lady felt insulted. The mother felt insulted. So the rubric taken was mind delusion, insulted he is, and the child is totally indifferent to whatever is happening around with taciturn. She won't talk. So Staph aureus was the only remedy there, and it did give a lot of result. There is actually an audio clip of the mother, but I don't think we actually have time to listen to it because we have just 6 more minutes and we have some doubt clearing sessions as well. So I just showed you a method. We will come to it. Okay. Then emotional causes, GNM and various interpretations. This is how you see a GNM thing. Organ here, first one, you must read about GNM, organs controlled from the brain stem. It gives beautiful explanation with respect to embryology. So there is a very, very scientific thing. It is easy for you to understand as well. So people who are not familiar with GNM, please make use of it. And mouth, pharynx, and submucosa is the organ. Here, the biological conflict that could usually come. There is a lot of it, okay? There is a chart like this. You will get all this. The charts are going on, but this is all there in their website. So I will actually share you the website ID and you can actually get it. Oh, this is getting stuck. Rachel, Dr. Rachel, are you there?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Let me just fix this. 1 second. I know we are running short of time. We have just 4 minutes more. Is there any questions that actually I can answer?
You are done with your presentation?
Just 2 more minutes. I have got it. I've got it.
Yeah,
1 second. So
okay.
the GNM website, I will share it in the end of it. And okay, the other thing is Middle East theme. Okay, Middle East theme, as I took in this thing, Middle East theme is a part of thematic materia medica and repertory. So you find the theme that is there running through in a patient, or it can be theme for a situation, and you can actually correlate it with. Target Super Protocol method is being evolved by Dr. Srikumar and Srividya. A book was recently released. They focus on organ affinity, uses GNM theory, uses Middle East theme, and also in their method, autism and ADHD can be, they take the case by, intelligences of various spheres, right? We have a lot of intelligence, multiple intelligence is what Howard Gardner talks about. So they actually take the positives in a case of an autism and ADHD, and they try to get the medicine through that particular positives in that case, and they have been doing it pretty well. So I would like everybody to know that method also, because anything giving relief to a patient through homeopathy should be learned by us. And the concept of super defense in every disease and how you can take, it's a beautiful method. I would actually suggest you to go through this. It's called Target Super Protocol, and the book is available in Amazon and all that. Amazon India, it is available. Okay, next is dream analysis. Dream analysis, when you see, you can actually get the point of mind. What the patient experiences during the dream is more important for us than rationalizing and finding out why he must have seen the dream. So what was the patient feeling when he was seeing the dream is more important than why he saw the dream is not important to us. What did he go through during the dream is more important. Next one is physiognomy and phrenology, where, I told you the body parts like sharp nose, broad eyes, the face of the shape and all that is important. Phrenology is where the shape of the skull and the prominence in skull is marked. Okay, this is usually the suggested reference that I would give. I am a basic follower of predictive homeopathy by Vijayka sir, but I have also attended sessions in the Other Song Academy. I have read almost all the books. I really like the method that Dr. Rajan Shankaran sir follows, and GNM is also there. I would like to add, this is the website that is mentioned for GNM, and I spoke to Dr. CJ Varghese, who has been propagating this GNM here in India. So this number that I have given is his number. Suppose if you are interested, you can actually message him on this number. I have spoken to him. So he will add you to a GNM group on WhatsApp, and there they will guide you on how to know about GNM. Okay. Then physiognomy, more I have actually got from Dr. Srikar Manu, who is a Hyderabad-based homeopath. So there are YouTube links available. All you have to search is Dr. Manu's Homeopathy in YouTube, and you will get a lot of his videos where you can actually find out. Okay. Then Thematic Materia Medica, Repertory and Materia Medica of the Mind Symptoms by Joe Santonio Mirelli is also available in Amazon. So you can actually, Amazon India, you can buy that and refer more. Target Super Protocol is also available in Amazon India. And the other Materia Medicas, thematic Materia Medicas that I would suggest is Essence of Materia Medica by George Vitholkas, Catherine Coulter's Portrait of Homeopathic Medicines, Philip Bailey's Personality Profiles of Major Constitutions, Constitutional Remedies, and of course our, all the stalwarts books are not to be forgotten. I am not mentioning that because that is all there in the curriculum and you will be introduced to all that. As students, you will definitely know it, but these are the things that, a little more from what has been mentioned in the curriculum. All right. Okay. So now I can go on to the doubt session. Rachel? Dr. Rachel, are you there?
Yes, Namita. So yes, thank you very much, Namita, for that wonderful session of yours and enlightening us on some new concepts, which is not known to us. For example, GNM and Middle East theme, I don't think anyone has spoken about it till date. So we are very glad that you've enlightened us on many new concepts. I'm sure people can incorporate this in their practice. So there are few questions that I will be mentioning. So the first one, someone asked, how would you differentiate between delirium and delusion in the repertorial language? Like in your first case, you had taken a lot of delusions.
Delirium and delusion. Yeah, I actually showed.
So what is the differentiation that you've done?
Suppose, see, when there is a situation, how a person actually feels about it is delirium. Is delusion. You are feeling it in a way. But the thing is that in our repertory, suppose if you don't find it in delusion, you can go and search it in delirium as well. Because again, delirium is not a conscious thing that happens to a person. Okay, it happens in an unconscious level. You have a high fever, you get delirium. That is usually when you get delirious. So again, that is not a proper conscious thing happening to a mind. So you can search delirium as well. This is the answer given by Vijayakar sir, because we also had the same doubt when he was taking class. So this is there. And according to Shankaran sir, Rajan Shankaran sir, he says, delusion is something that has been there in a person right from the birth. Okay. So for every situation that a person sees or goes through, there will be one delusion that runs through and through. Okay. So that is the kind of delusion that he talks about. But I am not very sure whether sir takes delirium in that case. I don't know whether he would take delirium in that case as a substitute because it is not available. But when you take the other, because that is like running through and through a person from the childhood to whatever state he is in. Every situation he would be feeling that particular sensation, or he would be taking it only in that way. So that is the delusion that he is under. I don't know whether you really understand it, whether I can actually convey it rightly through. This is it. Next question. I hope that's clear. Is it?
So, yeah, I hope the person who asked the question has got it cleared. I think, I believe they have to go more in deep in predictive homeopathy to understand this concept more. Okay. So another question someone has asked is, why did you give 1 m potency of phosphoric acid for your first case? Why 1 m?
Mind was so important, and the mental symptoms were given everywhere. Mental symptoms were given more weightage, but I actually gave 1 m because I felt, to get out of that kind of autoimmune thing that was required. But later in my understanding, I found that a lot of autoimmune cases were actually, according to sir, he says 200 has to be given for autoimmune cases. Okay, but I actually gave 1 m here, and this result was good anyways.
So that explains why in your other cases 200 also you've tried out.
Yeah, exactly. But there were no other autoimmune cases. Autoimmune case was only this.
Only one. Okay. So is there any protocol for selecting the potency other than what you explained now? Like if it's mind related, you give a higher potency.
Actually, sir says when it is an autoimmune disease, you give 200. When it is a psychotic disease, you can also safely give 200, or you can give 1 m if you're so sure. of the mentals that you have taken. Suppose if you have taken more of general characteristic particulars, then go for 200. And psoric cases, in case of acutes, or not exactly psoric cases, in case of acutes, you can either give 30, or in severe acutes where you want immediate relief, you can also give 1M. Okay, basic potencies that actually sir uses are 30, 200, 1M, and in some cases 10M as well. Very high potency.
Okay, so someone has asked about GNM, concept of conflict. Can you explain it in correlation to uterine fibroid?
Yeah, uterine fibroid actually happens. Uterus, for every organ in GNM, we actually take the function of the organ. Okay, what is an organ meant to do in our body? Okay, so here in case of uterus is basically to give birth to an offspring. Okay, and it is one of the organ that is special to a woman, a femininity related organ it is. So uterus is associated with, the conflicts of uterus will be mostly associated with problems a lady has with her children. It can be more of worried about her children, concerned about her children, and it can also be, your femininity or your feminine ego is being questioned. So in that case, uterus can get affected. So when a person comes to you with uterine fibroid, you can actually inquire about their children first. You can also ask, what caused you, so much of, you get to know their femininity and their kind of, has anybody insulted you as a lady, things like that. Yeah.
So I think the similar will go regarding gallbladder. Somebody has asked the similar concept regarding what is the function of the organ and per se.
Yeah, gallbladder is actually, what they do is they store the bile and all that, the juices, the bile juice and pancreatic juice, and they release whenever it is required. So according to GNM, they say it is a conflict, an angry conflict, and also, but in one of the predictive classes, sir has said that, liver is actually related with financial responsibility. So gallbladder is all about, when do we need money? The gallbladder releases a little bit of it. So when you come to managing and, distribution of finances is more associated with gallbladder. Also, it can be, in previous case, there was one case of Oramet where she was going through a divorce and all that, and she had problem. So basically that business which was set up by the husband and wife, there was a tug of war between them. So maybe she underwent that particular emotion. That must have caused her gallbladder calculi to come up.
That's okay.
Okay, again, I saw a question related to eyes. So eyes are meant to see.
I think
so any problem with the eyes, the function is to see. So any problem with the eyes is where the body has sent signals saying that, okay, I think you don't need to see that. So there is something that she doesn't wish to see. It is, see, when you actually listen to it like this, you will feel that, okay, it is a little hypothetical and it is a little bit of a cooking up and, you are imagining. So I really don't want you to go to it like this. Those of you who are not familiar with GNM, go to it step by step, so that it doesn't all of a sudden feel like as if it's been cooked up, and you get this kind of basic first and then you build it on it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. One more question is there. In the case of Calcarea sulf, you had presented.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another close running remedy was Pulsatilla, but why did you not give Pulsatilla? Was the question.
Because there was sibling rivalry in that case, actually, if you see. She felt that, her parents loved her brother more than that. Suppose if you read Soul of Remedies and allied related books, you will find that, Calcarea sulf is one person who actually feels that the other sibling in the family is given more attention. So that was one thing that I actually went for Calcarea sulf. And during sickness, okay, that is for both. She wanted a mother to be with her. That Pulsatla also has. Like, the other one was more more towards Calcarea self. I think that's what I considered. The sibling rivalry was the reason I considered Calcarea self. Maybe in a hurry, because I was running short of time. I was actually hurrying up. I did not really differentiate the remedies, and I messed up a little bit left and right side. I do know that, but all of you who are confused, please go and read it. That would be good. Yeah.
So I think that's all the questions for today.
Okay, sir has asked something.
Sir has asked
Any
something.
caution?
Yeah, Rao sir has asked.
Of course, yes. Of course, yes. Definitely, yes. Because you should not get, carried away with all this. Ultimately, you have to remain rooted to what you know. Ultimately, you have to remain. This case that I have mentioned, maybe I have mentioned only the relevant parts of it, but actually the case was taken so much in detail, considering the location, sensation, modality, starting from the presenting complaint to the, onset, duration, progression of the presenting complaint, the journey of it, the history of the presenting complaint, as the case is being taught to us on how to be taken. So that is also dealt with. The whole case was taken in detail. This was a part of it. The GNM correlation was a part of it, but rest, the totality was all made. So I would definitely say that don't jump into conclusions. Definitely take it, and the moment you know that the results are not as good as what you expect, retake the case once again. Don't be reluctant to do it. Throw away all that is there in your mind and retake the case. Yeah.
Okay, so I think with that, you have beautifully answered all the questions and everyone's doubts, and also given us a new insight and a new concept of GNM. We all are aware of it. Some are following, some are not, and there are a lot of controversies regarding the theory. But as you said, it's not bad to know something new and try out. After all, we do follow the basic, what our master Hahnemann has said. And as you also said, you beautifully quoted, we all perceive things as we are, which even I feel it is very right. And that's what individualizes the person. So Namita, thank you. I'm very proud that my batchmate has presented very well today. So thank you for the wonderful presentation and all the very best to you. So
thank you. And thank you so much, to the administrator for the Roshan Cresta, to the principal, Dr. Shiv Prasad, vice principal, Prabhukiran sir, and Srinath Rao sir, everybody, thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to present this. And you, the webinar coordinators, everybody, thank you. And I must thank my family, because my husband, my daughter, they have all been so supportive. And most of you might know my husband is also an alumni from the same college, Sujit. So he has been so supportive with all this. And I must thank them, my mother, everybody was there with me throughout the preparation and all that. So thanks.
Yeah. So yes, so thank you very much. Yeah. And over to Dr. Hafiz.
Yeah. On behalf of organizing team Provision 2020, I express my gratitude and respect to our distinguished speaker, Dr. Namita Govindath, for enlightening us on the understanding mind-body interaction in homeopathic case taking. Thank you, Dr. Namita. I would also like to thank the moderator of session, Dr. Rachel Narona. I would like to thank the administrator, Reverend Father Roshan Cresta, Principal Dr. Shivprasad K, and the Vice Principal Dr. E.S.A. Prabhukiran for their valuable support for Provision 2020. I express my gratitude to the webinar organizing team headed by Dr. Dheeraj Fernandez, who have been working hard to make this webinar series a successful one. Finally, I thank all the delegates who have dedicated their time to being a part of this session actively. Tomorrow, we have a session by Dr. Sabik Hassan on the topic Homeopathy for the Higher Purpose of Existence. So, thank you and good night.